The Sanskrit word that means insight.
Inside.
Insight. So because at that time, Ida.
Oh, and then oh wow.
Yeah, so it means, and then we kind of came up with that tagline of insight and Ida and insight to oneness, because we're talking about how you can transform or make people travel into an inward journey through art forms. My intention as a person is that can I create a community which includes everyone, where there is no distinction between where you come from, what is your gender, what are your thought process, what's your background, but it's diverse. And every individual can feel inclusive and safe in that community.
They had approached me to be a guest on the show.
Okay.
And when they explained the concept to me, Ravinder was the brain behind this, I said, bro, who's hosting it? He said, sir, abhi tak socha nahi hai. Hum log mein se koi kar dega. I said, nahi, I will host this show.
So I'm a Buddhist practitioner. So when I started practicing the philosophy, I had a lot of support from her. So which kind of made it easier to kind of choose what works for you. So I was never like religious, but I was always supportive of other people having different faith and understanding.
And how do I declutter my mind?
There are so many ways today.
The top three.
Okay, like I'll say journaling is very powerful.
I was going to come to that, so I'm going to ask you that question.
Writing,
so journaling?
Writing. I would say again meditation, yoga, breathwork. These are very like sounds.
It works for...
But it really works. I mean, I do it myself, so I know it works for me. The transition happened when I started realizing how art is offering me a very like a spiritual experience.
Welcome to yet another thrilling episode of Unstoppable with Rohit Roy, brought to you by Right Bite Max Protein. Today, we're going to explore the worlds of mental health, creativity, and personal transformation. And instead of my usual intro, I'm going to let my amazing guest here share her own story directly with you. So get ready for some insightful conversation and inspiration that could change your outlook on fitness, wellness, mental health, and life. Please welcome Bharti K. Jai Singh, very, very warm welcome. I've actually wanted to have you on this show for a long, long time. लेकिन आपके husband ने बताया ही नहीं कि आप इतना कुछ कर रही हैं. फिर जब मैं मिला, he was on my show a couple of weeks back. I had the most interesting conversation with him. And now I'm ready to dive into this conversation. Before we start, the one question I asked him, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
आप actor थे.
Yes.
आपने काफी acting की, अच्छा काम किया. And then you moved out what is called expressive art therapy. I'm going to talk about that later, but how this move and why?
So I think it very simply put, like when I started my journey, I started with training in modern dance forms in Terence Lewis Academy. And it was a great experience then. And then I think I was very driven by the whole visual experience of being in front of camera, because we did get the opportunity even when we were training in our dance. And it just happened. It was, it started, I was very nervous. I didn't know if this is something I wanted to explore.
If you could act or no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could act, and I just wanted to like, okay, it came, my way, and I said, okay, let me try it.
Let me try it, yeah, why not?
Yeah, but that, because of dance training, it helped build confidence, and that's how the acting thing kind of started shaping for me. And I feel I actually learned on the job. It's not like I knew how to act. I didn't have any training in that. Yeah, I just liked, the whole experience.
You like the performing arts?
The performing arts. It was always driven by it. In school also, was always on stage. Also had a background of playing tabla. So something like always performing. So in visual sense, I think I was always connected. And then when dance and acting happened, the whole journey, the transition happened when I started realizing how art is offering me a very like a spiritual experience. So I'm connecting, I'm on stage, I'm performing, it's a vibe. But how internally I started feeling about myself, that was empowering. And I think
while you were acting?
Yeah, while I was acting or I was performing, and I felt like I could notice it within me, that there is something about art in that aspect, even if you're just talking about being on screen or we're dancing, something liberates within you. So every time I would be on stage, I would feel like I transcend into some experience and I can't put it in words.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And that point, I didn't know that there are things like dance movement therapy or expressive arts therapy, or that art can be a therapeutic lens and that can transform and reshape our narratives about how we feel. Or it can offer, help or support to other people who are dealing with so many challenges. So I think it was a simple shift of that noticing that feeling within me that led to changing what I was doing then.
So was it an easy decision to move from acting? Because बहुत लोगों का मानना है, खासकर हिंदुस्तान में, कि एक बार आपने सेट की चाय पी ली तो आप कहीं नहीं जाते हैं. आपके साथ ऐसा हुआ था?
I did have that experience when I was doing the show on Channel V. It was a youth-based show, and that time I was also a chai person. So I used to love what was set ki chai. What the I still remember Mamu making that chai.
On that note.
Yes. And yeah, I think I loved being on set.
Right.
I loved the whole feelings. But I also realized that when I was the whole journey of putting yourself out there constantly and the disappointments that you go through, which is part of your journey.
Part of the job.
It's not like I was scared of it, but eventually I started feeling maybe I am just doing this because I like the experience of it, but I'm not deeply connecting to the whole aspect of it.
Oh.
And being very honest, also the kind of opportunities I wanted, I did not get out.
Okay.
So maybe at that point when I was in my 20s also, it made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm not meant for it. You easily kind of, feel like, okay, maybe it's not for me.
But that's a deep realization for someone so young. Usually people keep waiting for years and years before it hits them that maybe I'm not meant for it.
Yeah. But I think maybe because I also connected to a spiritual practice very early on. And I think that awareness kind of helped to hold on to something. It's okay if this doesn't
work out.
But it's not like I didn't live with that feeling for a long time. I used to feel that insecurity and I'm like, I wish I could have done it. I could have also done it. I had the potential.
Yeah, you could have done both.
Yeah, I could have done both. But I felt like at that point, I easily gave into that feeling. Maybe it's not meant for me.
Any family background in spirituality and all of that?
Not really. Actually, no, not at all. But mom was always very open to the idea of, finding your own path in faith.
Okay.
So I'm a Buddhist practitioner. So when I started practicing the philosophy, I had a lot of support from her. So which kind of made it easier to kind of choose what works for you. So I was never like religious, but I was always supportive of other people having different faith and understanding.
Right.
But for me, it was more about like, I didn't believe in idol worship because I had this question in my mind that, how does somebody, who I was thinking from outside of me is going to kind of change things for me. And I think my spiritual practice strengthened that awareness. It's all within you, which also our religious practice say, but how much we practice it depends on our understanding. And my spiritual practice gave me that path that, you have to kind of go inward and then you take responsibility of your challenges.
That most scriptures do say that actually.
But we don't practice it that way. Or even when we're praying, we don't look at it that way. So that was a great support. So I was like, okay, I'm fortunate that, I have that. I met, in fact, I was introduced by an actor only on my set to the spiritual practice.
Oh, who, if I may ask?
Manav Bhuvid.
Manav, yes, of course.
So I think that show was not just acting for me. It was everything. I met my husband on the show and, introduced to the spiritual practice. The whole people who were part of that show are still like family today. Okay. So I feel like there were a lot of things that I kind of received.
So it was showing you the way actually, showing you the future path maybe.
Probably, yeah.
I strongly believe in our destinies. You know, they take us where we are going to go. We don't know it then. I have to ask you this interesting question. IDHA, the Integrative Diverse Humanistic Arts Organization.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
What is it? I mean, please tell us in great detail so that we understand.
Sure.
What is its mission and what do you want to kind of achieve through this?
It has kind of, when it started to where it is now, it has reshaped a lot.
What is it to start with?
So when I started, it was in 2012. This word is basically, if I have to just in a way simply explain it, it's a Sanskrit word that means insight. Inside. So because at that time, Ida.
Oh, and then wow.
Yeah, so it means, and then we kind of came up with that tagline of insight and Ida and insight to oneness, because we're talking about how you can transform or make people travel into an inward journey through art forms. That was the whole idea. And back then, my art form was only dance.
Only dance.
Because I just trained in it. And I felt, maybe I can explore this. How can dance become spiritual? It is spiritual. If you go back in history in ancient times, everything was always related to art. If people wanted to feel supported, they would go listen to music together. They would come as a community, dance together. There were rituals and practices. So
even in our mythologies, there are so many instances like that. Menka, uska bhang kiya, usne through dance.
Exactly. Everything has been used in an art form, but obviously over the years we've forgotten it. We don't look at it that way. So for me, Ida started like that. And I remember going back to my school and, holding space for teachers and students to kind of interact with one another in a very like a cathartic way. That time I didn't have the knowledge of therapy. So because I was just starting. So Ida started then, and then
So you started Ida right back then?
yeah, back then, but I could not continue because I think I was just in my 20s and, I was exploring and I was not sure of what I want to do. So, and then acting was, starting, and that's the time I got this show as well. So I maybe, I was not sure of it, and I kind of decided to do the show, go ahead with the project. And luckily met very amazing producers who said that, try this is going to be an experience for you. And it did. It did turn around my life in that way. But looking at Ida now, when the whole in 2020, the mental health kind of, took the shape and the platform where everybody started talking about it, I realized by the time there was a lot of unlearning and awareness and learning, and then you are also like upgrading your skill. You are understanding how do you want to kind of represent yourself in this world? How do you want to support communities and people? How do you want to create value? Which changed into that my intention as a person is that can I create a community which includes everyone, where there is no distinction between where you come from, what is your gender, what are your thought process, what's your background, but it's diverse and every individual can feel inclusive and safe in that community. And then how that process makes anyone who feels alone doesn't make them feel alone. You feel like you're not alone and you're supported. So when I say diverse, artistic, because you're using the whole art form as a way to express. When I say humanistic means we're going back to our human self of not judging.
What we were.
Yeah, of not
Not
judging.
what we become.
Yeah, what we become and just feeling inclusive. And I'm just looking at you as a person, you're looking at me as a person and not the identities and the roles and the layers that we play in our lives. And if we can drop those barriers and become a community. So that's where the whole shaped happened once I kind of dived into this work from 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Now I still haven't understood
Yeah.
what it is when you say expressive art therapy, dance movement therapy, etc., etc.
Lots of things. Yeah.
So supposing I'm there
yeah.
and you want to whatever me,
Yeah.
how do you use this
Yeah.
expressive art therapy?
So I'll go a little behind. I started in 2017 studying dance movement therapy. And at that time, I was very fascinated about the whole idea because I got to know that dance can be therapeutic and there is actually a program or something that you can learn and study on it.
This is very niche, isn't it?
Very niche.
Yeah,
very
nobody
niche.
really knows
And
about
then
it.
it instantly connected me back to when I was studying my dance, like modern dance. So we used to have exams and we had
Of course.
And that time, the dancers, the pioneers, there were pioneers who had broken away from the system of having a very structured dance to using dance as a way to connect with people, with children, with young adults, with elderly people, to support them, to make them feel safe, to bring joy, to bring hope, to bring strength in their lives, especially the ones who don't have. And then that connected and it was a great experience. So then 2020 became like a way to, okay, now I can offer this to different demographics, people who just want to have a creative exploration. Like, for example, you said when you say that, okay, what is it that you can do with me to have this whole understanding of it? It's basically me offering you an experience. So I say that, okay, that I will invite you to a safe space. When I say safe, why I say safe is because I want you to know that when you come here, I'm not going to judge you with what you've come. I'm going to just kind of invite you to a space where you can be who you want to be in that present moment. Okay? Doesn't matter where you come from. Yes, you can come with your own baggages. You can come with your own, questions, hesitations. And I will allow that feeling to take place. And I'm not going to tell you, don't do this, don't do that. So that becomes a safety space for you. Then I will guide you into a process where if I say, okay, let's look at so many art forms today that are there. Can you look at it from a way where you do not judge yourself that do I know how to draw or do I know how to move or do I know how to sing? But I can just experience it. For example, I play a piece of music and I say, okay, why don't you just listen to that piece of music and notice how it impacts your body?
Oh, wow.
So, for example, we were just talking just before this, that when we listen to music, it's usually we start tapping our feet. We snap our feet.
Automatically. Yeah,
It's a very
organic.
automatic, you're not thinking, right? But it's so deeply connected to your subconscious. So what happens, your body is always responding. So when I am meeting you for the first time, before I even say hello to you, you come with a certain energy,
Right.
right? So I'm receiving that first. And instantly my response will kind of be according to your
According
energy.
to what energy I show. Okay,
Correct.
okay.
So that is what I'm talking about. So this art-based experience takes you back to noticing that sensation that you're not even aware of because it's so used to it, like breathing.
Right.
Okay. Only when
just
I tell
breathing,
you,
yeah.
okay, let's breathe in and breathe out, you'll
Then you
become
realize that
consciously
you're
aware.
breathing. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's involuntarily. And that's how we forget. So what art does is it opens a space for you to channelize your energy into the small sensations in your body. What is happening in your body? You notice it. Okay, how do you feel like responding to it now? And then you can tell me, okay, I feel right now my body as I'm breathing, I'm sitting here, I feel a little heavy in my stomach, for example. Okay, and how does that feel to you? And you say, I don't know, it feels a little chaotic. Maybe, it suddenly reminded me of what happened before I came into space. I say, okay, how about you kind of start to express that emotion? So let's begin with a little bit of movement. And I say, okay, show me with your hands, as simple as use your hands to show how that chaos looks in your body. So immediately you will give me some gesture like, oh, I don't know, like something you'll do. And I'll say, okay, so now you have become aware that this is how it looks inside your landscape, your body. And let's now travel with this into something that can unfold an experience for you. So I am guiding you. I'm a vessel guiding you, but the whole journey is yours.
So you're not telling them what to do.
I don't tell you what to do. And usually, if you look at it, everywhere we are always told what to do.
Yeah.
Even when growing up, we're always told, ye karo, ye mat karo. This is good for you, bad
Yes,
for you.
yes, yes.
And you create your narrative as a human being according to that. Then as you become an adult, you have your own experiences and that reshapes for you, right? But how does art become therapeutic? Through guiding you in a journey that it becomes very inward. So these can sound like big words, but they're actually the simplest things that we find it hard to do because we always want like a quick fix or something that is visible and, oh, you had a problem, I fixed it for you. So how art can make you, empower you to take responsibility, to channel your own energy into something that can become valuable for you. So then art can be in any form. That's why expressive arts is multimodal. So there are lots of therapies today. There's art therapy, there's music therapy, there's dance therapy. But how does it disintegrate or distinguish from expressive art? Expressive arts is basically you can use many forms of art together.
Oh, okay.
You can connect.
So it's not art as in drawing.
That's not just visual art.
Not
There are
visual.
many
It
forms
could
of
be anything.
For example, even photography is
now
art.
it's so much clearer to me.
Yeah.
now.
In fact, you act. So for you, acting is art, right?
Of course.
And you get so much creative space to change your character in so many ways with so many emotions. You're constantly responding. Even your script kind of, invokes a certain kind of emotion in you. And then that's how you want to respond to it. So you're always creative. But when you come in such spaces where we talk about therapy, it just opens a way to go more within and more like noticing what is going on within me rather than always worrying about what will be the outcome and how will I look and what will it feel like. You'll understand what it'll feel like when you notice what it is. Then you will find the why of it. So what is going on? And then you decide why.
Wow. This is damn interesting, yeah?
It is.
Wow. I mean, I was expecting something completely different. So tell me, supposing I came to you. Now, do only people with problems come to you? Mostly?
Mostly, but definitely there are so many times where I work with a community. Like I work with two community spaces. One is on a spectrum of neurodiverse, where there are adults. When I say neurodiverse, that means there are adults who are on different mental health challenge spectrum. So like ADHD, Down syndrome, so many things like anxiety, depression, all of these things. Then there is a community space that I work with where people like you and me come who just want to have a creative experience, who want to find a way to channel their emotion in a more where they can self-regulate their emotions, where they can understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. They could just have basic conflict in relationships, in family, and how art can help them feel more liberated and empowered. Okay, I can go through this. So,
I'm still confused about one thing.
Yeah.
So supposing I came to you, I'm not telling you what my problem is, right?
Yeah.
You're not helping me fix it.
Yeah.
how does it tangibly help someone overcome the problem he or she has come to you with?
Correct. So the first thing that you also inform.
Because I'll tell you why I'm asking this
Yeah.
question is because I'm dumbing it down.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
sometimes words don't touch the audience
Yeah.
as much as examples. do.
Examples.
So maybe
Absolutely. So I think if I have to start with just giving an example.
just give me a simple example of ABC came to me with so and so issue,
So
and this is how it helped.
okay. So I worked with this young girl who was dealing with basically depression. Okay.
Oh,
And a severe case of depression where everything felt like, your body is frozen. You don't know how to express, you don't know how to move. You cannot word anything verbally. To even move is difficult because your body feels very stuck. And of course, your emotional regulation is not there, like the awareness of it is not there, that you can really understand how to kind of cope with what you're going through. And came from a dysfunctional family where also lost her mother at a very early age. So there was a lot of trauma that was stored in her body. Now, obviously, as a person who's facilitating the session, is my responsibility to tell you that, hey, I'm here for you, I'll walk with you, but I cannot promise you that I'll fix this problem for you. Why?
correct.
Because it's going to be a very personal journey. You might overcome, but I can offer you resources that can help you cope with it, that can help you understand yourself better, that can make you more self-aware to deal and respond to a particular challenge in a more, let's say, with a lot more wisdom and understanding. And I started doing only movement-based sessions where I would just use gestures and metaphors and symbolic ways to use your body to communicate what you're actually feeling and going through.
Okay, so not dancing per se, just
No.
gestures.
There could be a time when I want you like a particular song. Okay, let me play that for you. And why don't you just enjoy that moment? Don't, it's like bringing you to the present moment.
Right.
The moment I'll give you in any art form to engage in, you will come back to what's happening now. And then it will take you into a journey of, okay, this connects to that memory, this happened, that happened. And, so I worked with her for a year. And I can't tell you that when she started, she would even struggle to walk or get up. She would want to always sit on the floor. And she would just say, okay, I don't feel like moving and I don't feel like doing anything. And I would just like, maybe whatever I tell her, she'll just kind of give me like okay, here it is.
Okay.
I actually started, embody it? I started accepting her exactly where she is, which is also one big responsibility in this work, that don't tell the person in what you know. Okay, see them for where they are. And we just started walking. That's all we did. We would walk in the room. And we'd come back and we'd sit and kind of just sit in silence or maybe listen to a piece of music and meditate. Within a year's time, just by doing basic simple things like walking or doing things like that you would naturally do, like, okay, I started making her do things like she would do in her daily activities. Like, what are the movements you do? So you don't realize involuntarily we brush our teeth, we take shower, we eat, so many things. Bringing her attention to the small things. After a year, she was the one who actually started dancing to a particular song. She started moving. She said that my relationship got better with my father. She started verbally communicating that this is what I'm feeling, for someone who would mostly sit silently and would just maybe do like, okay, maybe move your hand, take it up in the air and just like, shake your fingers or hands. And she would just do that also.
And this was just because of depression. Just depression, and she was so...
Yeah, because what is depression? You lose that hope, right? Of course, it's kind of, when we talk about depression, there are a lot of layers to it. And there are so many, like, I would say, depression
levels
levels and categories. But having said that, when it kind of, you feel like there's no hope, everything feels very dark and the
hopeless.
body is constantly frozen in that space. And it's very difficult for the person to explain that they can't do the basic things of life.
And how is she now?
Absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
Wow.
So, of course, when we talk about interventions, even when we do researches, they don't say that there is 100% proof of that people have overcome. But they talk about intervention, that how people have transformed their journeys.
Yeah.
And they have made like new neural pathways that we talk about, new narratives. When we get into the technical
And through
terms,
doing just this.
just art, just making her feel safe and making her feel that you're accepted for who you are. And yes, okay, this is the problem. And let's not focus on that all the time because you're always focusing anyways on
So can I ask you a question which might not be directly
Yeah.
related? Because
Yeah, yeah.
the
Sure.
question after this, before that I want to ask you a personal question. As I find myself mentally cluttered with A, information,
Yeah.
B, what I'm doing, because I'm doing more than a couple of things at the same time,
Sure.
I find my attention span has gone down considerably.
Yeah. All of us, yeah.
Why does that happen and how do you address it?
First of all, like you said, you very rightly said, a lot of information. Too much access of
Like I pick up the phone to call my
Yeah.
wife and I forget ke, yaar, phone kyun kiya tha? Because I'm thinking of 10 different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Happens to me also. All of us. And I think, I remember having a conversation with a friend who's also doing the similar work. And I said that, is ADHD really like an issue? Or I think we all have it. Because of the availability that we have around us because of technology. So there is too much information. Everything you can just access it. So sometimes people even feel like, why do I need to go through it? I have Google, I'll just know it from it, right? We also have that lack of awareness. So that is also there because too much of information kind of makes it, it's like you said, clutters your brain.
My brain, yeah.
So what do you really do?
What do you do?
What do you do? And that's why these practices are coming up where people say meditate, mindful practice, you do yoga, you exercise. Why? Because they're also telling you if you need to kind of restore a particular information or retain it, how do you do that? You need to make space for it. So one thing at a time, slowly, smaller habits. We say, right? Go back to the basics. Go back to going into a routine. They say, okay, your time of your usage of phone should reduce, the television should, the iPads, whatever that we have access. Why? Because we're not able to really retain anything. So when you come in an art form, a lot of people find it very uncomfortable because they can't sit in silence. They are not ready. They are not ready to go through that uncomfortable feeling ki kuch karna nahi hai. Like people say, I cannot not do anything. Right? I have to keep doing something. And especially when we live in a fast-paced world, it's like, whoa, how can you sit idle? How can you just stare at the ceiling? What does that
So
even
what
mean?
I told you would fall under the, maybe in the loosely, not loosely actually. Does it fall under ADHD? No, right?
Yeah, so when you say that, I can say it will be a very minor form, like a intensity of it. But people who are actually on the spectrum of ADHD, they genuinely find it very hard to focus on one thing. And I'm working also with a few of my...
How does one realize? What if I do have ADHD?
Yeah. So
I
first
don't
of
know,
all,
maybe I do.
yeah.
It's
See, first
possible.
of all, of course, then if you feel like, then somebody will encourage you to go do a proper diagnosis to a psychiatrist, because I'm not a doctor, right?
Right.
So then you have to go to a proper psychiatrist. They'll do your diagnosis. They'll do your counseling.
There's a proper scientific diagnosis
Yes,
for ADHD.
absolutely, they'll do that. Of course, they say there's no cure, right? It is something like, okay, you have it, you have developed, maybe it's expanded in your body with your own experiences, with whatever you've gone through. And then how do you find ways to support that? So that how
So
do
you cannot treat it. Are you saying that ADHD
You
is
can-
not treatable?
it's not,
I'm not saying that as
yeah.
a doctor say anything,
Yeah,
but
but I can say it's more than treatable. You can definitely find a way to cope with it where you can build your focus. You can, kind of reduce your spontaneity of always being very impulsive. You can work on those patterns. So when I am working with somebody who has ADHD, we use a lot of sensorial way of communicating. So things that you can touch and feel and smell and sense and visually see. So what happens? It instantly brings your attention back to the present moment. But yes, it's challenging because your mind constantly wants to go from here to there to here to there. Even when you're with me, you're not with me, which happens
so it's
also. to us.
obviously neurological. Yeah, so if I go back to my original question,
Yeah.
what are the 5 top things that I need to do so I can either remove the clutter in my mind or it will help me focus better or give me better short-term memory? Because my long-term memory is fine, right? We
Yeah.
all remember what happened 20 years back. But
Yeah.
I probably won't remember who I met day before yesterday at the Diwali party.
True. I think if I have to tell from my own experience and what I do for myself is a lot of breathing work. Like really sitting with yourself and doing a lot of breathing. This is what I've learned from my teachers also. Lot of breathing, lot of any kind of physical practice that supports you and your energy level. That makes you feel more connected. So yes, meditation is very powerful. I mean, people who struggle with it, I know it is a big struggle to sit with it. That's why you have different things to kind of...
No, I do Vipassana, so
Yeah.
meditation is not a problem.
It's not a problem. So like simpler things like breathing, like as simple as that. If you can go back to connecting to our breath, really, for me, yoga works. For me, meditation works. Also, if you want,
In terms of memory,
yeah. Because I can very honestly say that I also struggle with remembering and retaining a lot of things. So for me, I have to constantly keep going back to it. I chant, that really helps me, my spiritual practice. And like we say, in a mind, body, and the way you feel is not separate. So the moment I start physically understanding and having awareness, it will impact how I feel, think, and even retain knowledge. And honestly, for my work, I feel like I had to do a lot of unlearning because there's too much information. I had to start understanding that I do not need to know enough, and I need to be present with what I know in the now. And it really doesn't matter, because if I can do justice to this present moment where you and me are sitting and talk about how I really connect with it, I will remember it.
Okay.
And I will be able to kind of express what I have experienced through this work. So when you say 5 things, simple things.
And how do I declutter my mind?
There are so many ways today. Like
Top 5.
journaling.
top 3.
Okay, like I'll say journaling is
I
very
was going to
powerful.
come to that, so I'm going to ask you that question. So journaling,
Writing. I would say again meditation, yoga, breathwork. These are very like sounds.
it works for...
But it really works. I mean, I do it myself, so I know it works for me. I have been able to overcome so many things just by doing consistent practice of it.
And you have done these things, so you know.
Yeah, I have done it. Like, I
Okay.
know I was a very impulsive person who wanted to who didn't know, who didn't have clarity. It has helped me bring clarity of thought, unlearn, step into this space to understand how much you need to also keep working on yourself. And it's not about just knowing it all and constantly talking about it. So definitely, journaling, I do a lot of journaling.
So I'm
it
going to
works.
jump to my second last question
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
About journaling. I've heard a lot about this, and everybody swears by it. I don't really know what it is exactly and how you do it. And I don't think everybody in my audience also knows. Tell us in simple words, what is journaling and how does it help you?
So if I have to say from my own experience, it's a very cathartic process. Why?
What do you do? Like if I'm
Yeah.
hosting a show, I'm
Yeah.
reading my lines and I'm asking you a question and I'm looking at the camera, all of that. What do you do when you're journaling?
Nothing.
What is
You
the
just
process?
take a piece of paper or a diary,
Right.
take a pen, and as you like, a pencil, a colorful pen, whatever that works for you, and just start writing the chatter that is going on in your head. So
The chatter that is going on in my head.
So for example, there's this whole exercise also that a lot of people do. And if you've heard of this book called The Artist's Way,
No. I
yeah,
haven't.
there's a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, where she talks about this whole thing of where you just kind of, whatever is going on, you start writing. So when you say start writing, what do you do? Usually when we have to write a script, you think, kya bolenge, kya character hoga. But this is very different. Why it's cathartic? Because, for example, you wake up and you say, I don't feel good today. Okay, but I have to do this. But now I have to go here. It's constantly shifting.
So then basically you have to be really honest with yourself and put it down.
And that's for you, right? It's for you. You don't have to kind of show it to anybody.
Right,
It's
of
your
course, of
personal
course.
experience. Just write your thoughts. And what helps is, you don't even realize, at a subconscious level, you're clearing the clutter, and suddenly you will realize that there is suddenly a thought and which clears your mind, and you feel like, oh, there's a sense of clarity. Oh, I didn't realize that there was this reason that actually I was feeling so and so and so. I thought it's this situation, but it was stemming from something way back in time that I must have experienced with whoever. So what happens, the thoughts are so many that it's very difficult for us to really focus on every thought. And like people say, there's 60 to 80 million thoughts in a day. How do you focus on it?
Right.
So that's what it talks about. So writing is a way of venting. Okay, so it's like you're giving yourself actually a way to
So
release.
he's actually a therapist, the journal, in a way.
In a way,
Yeah.
of course. But why do we go to therapy? Because you need a perspective. You need someone to guide you, because sometimes with your own thoughts also you get lost and you don't know where you want to spiral into, what feelings and emotions. So one thing is journaling, which is very powerful.
Yeah, this sounds like something I could do and also declutter my mind.
Absolutely. In fact, one spiritual mentor also says that, when you write, you kind of strengthen and make your thoughts more concrete. So how powerful that is. So that's why when people say write your dreams, write your desires and really write your goals. Why do we say that?
That's also part of journaling?
Yeah, you can do
Like so many people said that write your gratefulness and gratitude in your journal. How does that help?
See,
I'm already
it's
grateful.
Yeah, it's also a
But it's
practice. It's also a practice. Like I honestly telling you, I have a lot of things to be grateful about, but it's not like every day I wake up and I feel grateful. And
Right.
can I be honest about it?
Yeah.
Because I'm a human being and I'm going to experience all kind of emotions.
Correct.
So I can say, yes, be grateful. It's going to really help you, give you abundance in life. But the fact that you genuinely feel unconditionally grateful, like where you
No,
don't have
that's-
expectations,
Mm.
so that is a learning. You need to
Wow.
relearn. We all need to relearn. We all need to unlearn. And we all need to understand and be as honest we can be with ourselves to really kind of connect to all of these words that we say. How do I declutter? How do I, find my center? How do I feel at peace with myself? But it's all within you, which I know sounds very like everybody says that, but it is.
Yeah, no, but it is true.
It is
It's
true.
true.
You cannot deny it or defy it because that's where it's coming from.
The trick is to be honest with yourself
Very.
first.
And you have so many outlets. You
Yeah.
can paint your thoughts. If you don't want to write. In our dance movement therapy, we did this exercise where people find it hard to verbally say what they're feeling. For example, I don't wish to tell you what I'm feeling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For example, I don't trust you. I'm scared. Or people who are trauma survivors. How do they do it?
Yeah.
They have so much within them. How do they let it out? So we do this exercise called where we start talking. It's called gibberish. Where you just
Gibberish.
Yeah.
Jo marzi bolo.
And a lot of in acting workshops also people do this activity to kind of help you kind of connect with your sound and your body, where you just don't say anything, where you just say blah 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 blah,
Hmm.
and there are no words, and then that
And
can
that helps too.
yeah. I mean, if you and me start talking right now,
Huh.
it's going to be like we'll go into some other tangent of expressing our emotions. We'll not even realize. There'll be
Wow.
humor, there'll be pain, there'll be all of it.
And while you were talking about it, I was wondering if somebody like you, who's taking so much of it every day
Yeah.
from various people, how does that affect you mentally?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with it? If you can be totally honest and rare.
Absolutely. I go see my therapist at least once in 2 weeks. I
Because
whatever.
it can your mind
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
to
And
so
it
many
does.
traumatic things.
And it does. And there are times when, of course, when I go back home and I talk to my husband, I'm not telling him what's happened with the client, but he can sense it that, okay, I'm feeling really down and out, or I don't feel like talking. And I could also be irritated, and there could be something that a client would have triggered in me that I didn't know. So for me to find that equilibrium of myself so that I can hold space for someone, I need to go see a therapist.
Correct.
And this is something I'm not just saying because it's written in the books and people say it, but genuinely we all need to go do therapy, not because of, okay, there's some challenge with me, but sometimes it's very important for a very non-judgmental perspective.
I was just going to say that.
Very-
Non-judgmental perspective.
Where other people only give us advice. And the reason you go for therapy is because you don't want advice.
Right.
You know it. You
Yeah.
have a lot of awareness, you have a lot of knowledge. You don't want people
Yeah.
to tell you what to do. So then how do you really embody what you actually want to experience? That's where that mind opens up. So either you go for talk therapy, you go for sound therapy, you go for art therapy, expressive
And
arts
that
therapy.
helps you stay balanced through the
Whatever
day.
works
And
for you. For example, if you're a person who
I'm
has-
talking about you.
yeah, I'm a person who doesn't like to talk a lot about what I'm going through.
Thank God for talking on my show, yeah.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah.
But for me, I like non-verbal. I like if I can just move and I can just kind of like, make a sound and I can write about it and I can paint about it and I can maybe tell a story about it, which I'm telling a story as another character. So I don't have to say, hey, my name is Bharti and this is what I'm going through. I can become another character and tell you my imaginative story.
Yeah.
How powerful is that? I feel safe and I feel seen and heard. What we all are looking for is to
Have
be
you ever gone through a kind of a mental trauma yourself? And how did you deal with it?
I don't know. I feel like if I go back, I feel like my childhood has not been the most very healthy.
Hunky-dory, healthy.
Yeah, like very how do you say, a healthy environment where everything is harmony and the relationships are very conducive. No, I haven't. And I struggle and I still work on it. Struggle as from a girl becoming into a woman where it comes to self-worth and really kind of showing up and talking. In fact, today when I'm sitting and talking with you, it's a big accomplishment for me because I was a girl whose voice would not come out in front of people.
Mm.
And I remember I was made a captain
Wow.
in school and one of my junior came and said that you have to tell everybody to be quiet. And I could not say it. I said, how do I say it? I can't. And she had to say it, like, ask everyone
Yeah.
because we were going to watch a movie. I was in a boarding school, so there was a whole rule. But going back to this, I wasn't. And for me, I struggled with self-worth for the longest time.
Any reason why you struggle with yourself?
Maybe because I came from a space where my parents, separated. I was really small. I had to, I was sent to a boarding school very early on. I didn't get to stay with my parents, and I didn't see what it looks like to be in
To
a
grow up
healthy
with a happy,
family, a
healthy
functional,
family.
what we talk about.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. But maybe for me, I didn't look at it from a poor me. Maybe for some time I did. I'm sure I've beaten myself up and I felt like an unworthy child.
Mm.
But I do have to be grateful for one thing, because my mother always made sure that she stays connected with me, and she used to write to me. She used to write letters. That time, and back in school, we used to get letters.
Yeah.
So we didn't have emails at that point. I mean, we had, but we couldn't use that. So my mom used to write, and that really helped me to kind of shape my thought process also.
And this was through your school.
Yeah. So I am saying that through my own journey also, I have learned how to look at that pain and suffering from a different lens.
So how did you deal with this particular problem? Because
So-
that's what's going to help the audience.
Yeah. So I think for me, I used to write diary, my
Okay.
journaling,
Yeah, we all.
before I even knew that this is a whole
Thing.
concept.
Right.
I used to do it very early on. Maybe it came from my mom because she used to write. And then when I got into, then I used to dance in school a lot. I was a percussion instrument player. So I realized I used to use, with no awareness back then, I used to put all that energy in those aspects. And that used to make me feel very empowered. And I used to feel like, oh wow, I'm worth it. At that point, that was my understanding. And then when I came in my 20s and I got into this dance training space, acting space, I was still very unaware. And I was very vulnerable, and I still wanted to explore, but I continued writing. So today also, till now, I have my diaries from back then to now. And I've
Oh, wow.
seen and I've gone back and read them to just see how I used to think to now how I think and feel about myself. And definitely spiritual practice. So I would say journaling, spiritual practice, dance was something inherent. Like my first love has been dance. It became spiritual for me without knowing. And then when I got into this work, I feel like daily practice of just simple things which we spoke about earlier. Breathing, yoga, dancing, all of these things and therapy has really helped me.
You know what I just came to know in this chat with you?
Yeah.
I think that because of what you went through as a
Yeah.
child, maybe I'm behaving like a shrink right
Yeah.
now, but I think that probably is the reason why you wanted to do something in the expressive arts
Yes.
therapy
Yeah.
to kind of heal other people. That
Yeah.
because you knew.
Yeah.
I believe in all that.
No, what you're saying, I absolutely resonate with it. It is coming from that thought that
Yeah.
I felt alone and I didn't feel like I'm loved.
Right.
As a child, that was my understanding. And I definitely felt like there could be so many girls like me or children like me who felt
Countless.
the same. So what can I offer? When I found my strength through dance and different art forms, I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. There was a time when I was like, I'm going to be very
Yeah, I can imagine must have taken a lot of, not balls, but a lot of guts to go into a field which is like so niche and unheard of in this country.
Yeah, but that courage again comes from if you have the support, and I have a lot of support from my husband and my parents and my in-laws to be able to do this, and the community of people who are doing this work.
Lovely.
And you've realized you cannot do it alone.
Yeah, I think any process you need people.
Absolutely. Without that, you cannot find that courage
Yeah.
because you anyways feel like.
So
it's
you have
not
a team,
possible.
or it's just you?
So I have 2 people who work with me.
Okay.
And and over the years, there were 2 people during COVID who had reached out to me who voluntarily wanted to work. So I connected with people from
nice.
different parts of the world also.
Wow.
But yeah, they are
Keep
working
up the
with
good
me.
work, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
thank you.
I've learned a lot with this conversation. I mean, I try and pick up a little bit from every chat that I
Yeah.
do, but this has been an eye-opener.
Amazing, yeah.
Now, since this is a show where we talk about nutrition,
Yeah.
and of course, we've spoken a lot about mental health.
Mental health, yes.
So we talk about nutrition
Yeah.
and fitness.
Mhm.
I believe, I don't know how much it's true, but eating disorders have become very
Yeah.
commonplace now. And I didn't think that was happening in India.
Yeah.
But I believe that 20% of adolescents, or no, 15% of adolescents, like before they turn 20, they have an eating
It's a
disorder.
lot, yeah.
So, what do you attribute this to? It can't only be food. I feel that it's a lot of your mental
Yeah.
turmoil that leads to it.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you sort it from your perspective?
Like I said, like when you talk about eating disorders, you absolutely said it rightly that it's so connected, not just food, but it affects your mood and how you think and feel. And that's what we talk about.
Correct,
People
correct.
say, you are what you eat also.
Right.
So having said that, eating disorders are really kind of, growing and expanding, which is scary,
Very scary.
very scary. But it also, there are so many layers to it. Again, all of the challenges have the layers. So for example, for some people, they want to eat a little quantities. For some people, they want to eat a lot. It is also connected to how you feel about your body appearance. Today, we talk a lot about that. That, how you look at yourself. It's got to do with your weight. It's got to do with how your appearance.
Constant struggle. Constant struggle.
You're constantly judging and being judged. And sometimes it's involuntarily to judge. Because it's like the moment you see someone, there's a thought that emerges.
Right.
So eating disorders are stemming definitely from a lot of other aspects of their life, which could be their relationship that they are, or the family environment, social skill, like how they're interacting with the world. It's all of it. So it's not just coming from food. It's the relationship that they have with the food. It's what is the narrative they have heard over as children
About food.
about food and how food affects our body.
Is there a mental reason why eating disorders can happen?
Definitely. A lot of time we say that, don't do emotional eating. What is that? A lot of people
Right.
find it safe to, okay, if there's no other pleasure in my life, let me eat. At least there's something that gives
Comfort
me that
eating.
joy. What is that? So of course, then again, comfort eating is when you're having just a day, okay, today I want to eat a particular junk food that makes me feel good, or I want to have simple dal rice. That is also there for people, comfort eating. But when we go into eating disorders, that time your relationship is changed with food a lot. You're constantly either thinking that this food is going to really ruin me, or if I don't have this, then I'm going to not be able to act in this world or live, like survive through it. So it is very personal. Again, it's coming from a lot of emotional trauma or certain experiences in their life, no doubt about it. Or it could be just as simple as that how you have been told like to look at food. A lot of people love to eat, but then it's very much connected to your weight, how you look. And we also live in a society where you constantly judge about your weight.
In today's world, I mean, everything is about Instagram and social media and how
So there
you
is
look.
a lot, like I can't even bifurcate like what all other things that affect eating disorders. Again, having said that, expressive arts therapy or dance movement, any form of these approaches cannot fix it. But they can definitely help you prevent it from falling into a deeper spiral of it.
And make you aware, right?
Make you
Because my
aware.
next question was that how do I come to know
Yeah.
that I have an eating disorder?
Yeah.
I might be eating little. I mean, I've had friends who were bulimic.
Yeah. And
she actually died out of
I've
bulimia.
had a school childhood friend.
So how do you realize?
See-
I mean, can your art therapy help me realize I have
absolutely.
an eating disorder?
That intervention can help you realize, because you go into a deeper understanding of your awareness of your relationship with food, how it affects how you think about your body.
And without telling him or her anything.
Yeah. I mean, of course you guide, you do talk. There is verbal in it. But absolutely all of this is part of it. And like I said, that the process, you're going to realize it on your own. It's like a revelation for you. So again, art therapy or any form of therapy will support you in that journey. Either it will help you overcome it, or it'll make you realize this is what it is.
Just make you aware of it.
I know, it's
Yeah,
like,
it's become damn heavy. Yeah. Let me ask you a few light-hearted questions.
Please,
Because now, see, I'm so cluttered. Believe it or not.
I know, I've given
My mind has already gone to something else. कि अब अच्छा ये अगर ऐसा होता है तो मुझे कैसे help होगा? ये therapy से क्या मैं कर पाऊंगा? And I'm absolutely for people going to therapy. I don't know why it's been such a big taboo in India. So many friends of mine, obviously I can't name them, they're actors.
absolutely.
Big actors.
Fair.
They go to therapists, but obviously because of our profession, they have to be very caged about it. I don't think that in itself is a problem.
So many masks you're
You
wearing.
are wearing a mask where you're going to remove a mask, But, I can have this conversation with only a very close friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't have these conversations with anybody.
And
So, I'm going to reverse the
Yes,
situation
please,
now since
please.
I've
Yes.
asked you so many deep questions.
Yeah,
and
I'm
now
going
we
to
have
do
a,
justice to
we
it.
have a light-hearted, fun segment
Yeah.
called the Ask Rohit segment.
Yes,
It
please,
could
let's
be
do
about
that.
nutrition, working out,
Yeah.
mental
So
health,
many things
anything.
are there,
So
yeah.
anything you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
ask me.
Okay. I think what I feel like when you were, since you are in this field of acting and that has been your journey also in representing, and most of us know you like that, right?
Right.
But it's very, very for me empowering to know that you're so attuned and aware about your own understanding of your mental health and the
Right.
things that you do for yourself. So I think what fun thing I can ask you is,
No, you can ask me a serious thing also. No,
Yeah.
there's no problem.
how for you, what led for me to understand what led you to actually become aware about all these things and actually come here and start this platform to really know people of their journeys?
Good question. So I'll tell you, when I started off, in fact, they had approached me to be a guest on the show.
Okay.
And when they explained the concept to me, Ravinder, who was the brain behind this, I said, bro, who's hosting it? He said, sir, abhi tak socha nahi hai.
Huh.
हम लोग में से कोई कर देगा. I said, nahi, I will host the show.
Wow. Yeah.
And because I enjoy fitness, I enjoy my food and nutrition. I enjoy these things. It's not like it's a chore for me to go to the gym. I enjoy going to the gym. When people say, yaar, thak gaya hu, I said, घुस जाओ. पहला set करोगे, dopamine release होगा and you'll feel so happy you'll finish it. I can guarantee you. However tired you are. Similarly, my relationship with food is fantastic. I enjoy eating food. Yeah, sometimes after eating, I crib कि इतना नहीं खाना चाहिए था. But like you said, journal में अगर grateful नहीं feel कर रहे तो लिखो.
Yeah.
So then I won't lie. I said, यार इतना नहीं खाना चाहिए था. Last schedule, one of my crew members got me butter chicken and naan. And
Yeah.
here I'm talking about
Yeah.
nutrition and
Yeah.
good nutrition and healthy food.
It's not
and
like that.
I'm gorging on butter chicken and naan.
Yeah.
And so I do these things. And for me to start this podcast was to actually get more aware, more information.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, I'm so grateful you asked me this question. So good. For the last 50 episodes, we almost finished our first season of 52 episodes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I have gained so much of proper information, not Google information, not Instagram information. I also fell prey to Instagram and Google because, every time I want to do something, I'll research, then I'll send my doctor. He says, shut up, please. The top 10 answers will show there. They're not doctors.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was awareness. It was an extension of my, what do I say, my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And mental health is something that, can I be very honest? I think that you are the host and I'm the guest. I have never been understood. Like, Jackie Shroff, and of course, that was, I don't know whether you've seen that clip. He's like, क्या depression, छोड़ यार. मेरो दंड सीधा रख. तू चल सकता है, बहुत बड़ी बात है. ये क्या है, काम मिला नहीं मिला, उसमें depression. Of course, he's being very casual, but that's the way he speaks.
Yeah.
But in a certain way, I do not understand how everything today is immediately linked to depression, anxiety, this thing.
Yeah.
And I've had friends of mine talk about depression so casually.
Yeah.
And it is not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
You can feel down. I feel low once in a while.
Exactly. We
Like
should-
if I'm doing a film and that
Yeah.
film doesn't work and we're really
Yeah.
looking forward
Yeah.
to, and the film doesn't work, I do feel down,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean I'm depressed.
Yeah.
Arey, I'm depressed too, yaar. So I wanted to understand from people like you, I mean,
Yeah.
what is it? I mean, I had a mental health expert in my previous episode, and the way she made me understand was just a conversation.
Conversation. Yeah.
So that's the reason I came on the show, and I think we got to widen the zone. We had a tarot card reader.
Yeah.
So spirituality has come into the being.
Absolutely. In fact, when you said that, I just wanted to add that it's very important for us to feel all emotions.
Yeah.
And today, we are having these wonderful animation films like Inside Out, Inside Out 2, which talks about that all are important. And just before coming here, I was having a conversation with someone we were talking about how depression is used very casually.
Very casually.
But there are too many layers to that.
Yeah.
So it's okay to feel sad. And it's actually okay to feel sad because it's like if you're supposed to laugh, then you're supposed to cry too.
Exactly.
I mean, feel it. And why all of this today is happening, why we're talking about like meditation and all these things and mindful practices, why? Because we've drifted away from the simple things of life. So that's why today we need to kind of, rewire and tell people, okay, this is what you should do. And that's why people say, okay, let me go away for some time. Let me have that.
Yeah.
For example, when we do retreats and things like that, because I want to find that pause. Why? Because like you said in the beginning, processing of
that is
information
really,
is the reason that we're not able to do a lot of things. And that's why when I talk about unlearn is only because then all thanks to my teachers and everybody who I've, kind of trained under and learned through that you really need to unlearn. And my teacher used to and still says that, make peace with your limitations and do what you can do.
Lovely.
Do what you can
That's the
do.
second thing I'm going to take home today.
Make peace.
Although I have no limitations, I'm damn good at what
Yeah, I mean,
do.
we are limitless.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you do what you can. A lot of people say, I'll try.
Yeah.
And try also carries a lot of pressure. So can we say, do what you can?
Do what you can. उससे ज़्यादा तो होने नहीं वाला है ना.
Exactly.
But what you said about this joy and feeling sorrow is it's
important.
absolutely right. I
Yeah.
heard a beautiful line that happiness and sorrow are two sides of a coin. Make sure in life you flip the right side more often. Wow, isn't it a great
Amazing,
line?
yeah.
That just balances it out. कि ठीक है दुखी तो होना ही है.
exactly, and this work that you're asking me is all about bringing that balance,
Right.
nothing else. Come back to
I'm
that
going to
balance.
start journaling from today.
Please.
I am going to because I've heard it so many times and
Yeah.
I actually got a book from America which
Yeah.
which helps me journal from my childhood.
But you should definitely get this book called The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way, it's for everyone.
I'll
Even
get
though
it
it says
right
the
away.
Artist's Way for actors or particular people who are in this profession, but I feel like art is in all of us and we
Of
all
course,
are
of course.
creative.
Everything is eventually an art
So
form.
it helps you channel that. So must do that.
That was a fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much,
Without
Rohit.
any doubt, this has been one of my most insightful conversations. And a lot of people say,
Glad.
"के अरे सर आप तो हर guest को ऐसा ही बोलते हो खुश करने के लिए." But I really mean it because I've learned so much.
Yeah.
If I can take home one thing from a chat, I think I've got it right.
Yeah.
So
I'm
today I'm
glad.
going to take
Thank
two things back. Anyway,
Yeah.
so before we go,
Yeah.
we have this segment called the Right Bite, Keep Going Mantra.
Okay.
In one line, tell our audience.
Okay. Look
What
at the
is
camera
your
and tell them.
keep? No, you can look at me and say it,
Yeah.
but you can look at actually address them directly.
Okay.
What is your keep going mantra?
In the present moment, the keep going mantra is do what you can and keep unlearning.
Keep unlearning, very importantly, and keep doing what you can. Don't try and take a leap where you'll fall. Correct?
Yeah,
In simple
as
words.
simple as that. Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
being
much
here,
for-
Bharti. It was a fantastic conversation, and I hope to have you and Kunal back on the show
I would love
shortly.
that, yes.
You know, and we will make sure that happens.
But yeah, lovely to meet you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. And you guys keep watching Unstoppable with Rohit Roy because I'm sure you're taking home something or the other. And you know, a lot of actor friends of mine who have achieved a lot, they used to say that if anybody watching my film takes one thing back from the film, I've made a right film. Similarly, if you've taken anything back from Bharti, then we've got it right today. I'll see you soon. Till then, be healthy, be safe, lots of love. Take care.